Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Burn again, burn again, burn again, ABCs.
Welcome to the Barenaked ABCs, where I'm... What? I swear I wrote down what I was going to say tonight, but my eyes just went buggy, or the screen freaked out. I can't read what it's saying. I just don't get it anymore. Well, anyway, while I figure out what this week's song is, let me introduce a guy to you that was once lost in the Lost and Found. Aaron, hello, Aaron.
In the Lost and Found is one of my favorite Elliott Smith songs. Thank you. Good to be here. I got something for every occasion.
And we have a man joining us tonight that I get aroused when... Nope, I'm not doing that.
Whoa, hey.
Aaron, I ran into a friend of mine, someone that you definitely know, though, and he's joining me tonight. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey,
Jeff.
everyone. How's it going? Still stuck on the RL's comment.
And if you haven't guessed it by the really bad puns, tonight
I don't get your jokes anymore, Tracy.
I never got him. Statler and Waldorf tongue.
Great. Now I got Statler and Waldorf on the show. Tonight we're going to be talking about the song I Don't Get It Anymore. If you've never heard this song before, because it is a very rare song, here is a quick snippet.
I don't get it anymore. It's a long way down from the airplane cabin to the ground.
And unfortunately, everyone cannot see the wonderful hand signals that I keep doing on the screen. I'm very animated when I talk, but I think it comes through in my voice.
Mm-hmm. Gesticulating. Yeah.
In a good way. Gesticulating in a good way.
I'm saving everything for the outtakes video. It's all gonna
Christmas party.
So, Aaron, what album is this off from?
This one is actually maybe one of the harder ones. It's actually gave me a little bit of trouble. It sounds a little like latter-day BNL, but the production is somewhat softer and not quite as loud and compressed as what we hear on like Silverball and newer. So I'm thinking this could be from the tail end of the Page era. I'm going to hedge my bets here and sort of say it was Bare Naked Ladies Are Me /Men era.
Okay, so...
How bad was it? How bad was my guess?
You could pretty much win with anything beyond Maroon at this point.
Okay. Explain.
So, as I mentioned last week, so first of all, this is a Stephen Page, Ed Robertson tune, although I think really...
It's definitely an Ed tune.
It's
this is an Ed tune. I knew that, yeah.
It's like those songs where you're like, well, this is a Lennon-McCartney, but really it was Lennon.
It doesn't sound like it needed two writers.
So, as I was mentioning last week, there were two songs that were recorded for the Disc 1 compilation in 2001. The greatest hits album, so to speak.
Is this another one of those songs that was continuously pushed back to another album?
It was omitted from the finished record. The other one was because of Shallow Hal. This one had no reason that was pushed off. It was just pushed off. So this recording was later released on the Rarity album in 2012. Now, correction from last week, by the way, in case I did not say it, I Can, I Will, I Do was also on the documentary Bare Naked Truth. This song was not, though. Hello. So I was looking through my stuff this week and I'm like, oh, I missed that. 1 week off and I could have had that right and not made any mistakes, but you know.
How many weeks off?
Whatever. One week.
1 week. Okay. Just checking.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but there are two versions of this song. So we do have the Stop Us, if you've heard this one before, version of this song, which is the one that was recorded for the Disc 1 compilation. Okay. But we also have Ed singing it on the Bathroom Sessions. So I think we should start this discussion today about discussing how those two versions are different.
I'm not so much the music guy like Aaron is, but I'm guessing the difference is one has more instruments.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
That was a big difference.
As always with the bathroom versions, there's just Ed playing.
Yeah. Okay. I think the pacing's different too. I kind of felt like the pacing was a little bit.
It sounds
different
a little slower in the bathroom sessions. Yeah,
it does sound slower. It sounds a little more. It sounds a little more ballady, a little more country. I think. Actually, not to get too much into the opinion part yet, but this is one case. Well, I have a lot to say about this one, or not a lot, but I actually like the bathroom sessions on this one better. I would rather hear Ed sit, in a room with an acoustic guitar and play this song than
interesting.
I definitely prefer the album version on this one, hands down. Vocally, really? Oh yeah.
Wait, did you see the album version or the bathroom session?
I prefer the bathroom version over the album version. Yeah, sorry, did that? Yeah.
Hard disagree.
No. Definitely the bathroom version, I think, is better than the one that's on the album.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's very different because you have only Ed, and so he's rhythm guitaring, he's strumming the rhythm for this song. He is much more present in the bathroom sessions version than he is in the record version. The record version, the guitar is very sparse and sort of blended in with and I would almost say maybe he's using more of an electric guitar in the recorded version versus the bathroom sessions. He's using an acoustic guitar.
Right.
I think that's a perfect session. This is one of those songs that's a perfect song for him to be doing in the bathroom sessions. So, like, it really shows his abilities. It really shows off his rhythm guitar strumming. And I think it's just amazing him playing it. And he doesn't need all the others on this song. They sound great, and we'll get back to that. But he doesn't need all of them. And that shows it.
Yeah, just from the little bit that I've heard, I like it. But I'm really missing the bass. I really like having that bass up a little front in the mix on the studio version. So I don't know, man. That's just my opinion. I think they're both very solid songs. I don't think this is probably going to be one of my favorite songs by far of the band, but it's a solid tune, and I think it sounds perfectly fine with just him and the guitar. I agree. There's something probably in the nature of the song that lends itself to that kind of simplistic, stripped down version, but I kind of like the more fleshed out orchestration of the studio version.
I think what I thought is I definitely heard the album version before the bathroom sessions, and there were things I liked in the album version, but there were definitely things I don't like in the album version, and most of the things that I liked are in the bathroom session, barring one exception, and that's the ending. I really, really love. I mean, the guitar is pretty in the album version. It does come in. It has that really great sound. The ending with the kind of the synth echoey vocals and the instrument. That's another one of those classic B&O endings that are just everything's kind of coming together. So I love the ending on the album version. That's one of those endings like I call it the God Only Knows ending.
Yeah,
which is the ending of a song that you can listen to over and over and over. That's here too. I do like that. But other than that, most of what I like about this song on the album is Ed's vocals, which I think he does better in the Bathroom Sessions. And I think just the guitar and the musicality of it. So yeah, for me, this one's a hands down Bathroom Sessions. I would rather listen to that version.
Interesting that you mentioned that, Jeff, because I'm not sure that I prefer his vocals in the Bathroom Session, but they're definitely different, and I feel like they're more Ed. It's definitely more distinctly him. That's one of the things I noticed is that the very first time I listened to this, for the first few seconds, I was, it's very clear once you get into the song after a phrase or two that it's Ed. But the first, few bars, I was like, wait, is that Kevin? It actually was because he's very soft and a little more nasally than usual. And it took me a second to actually recognize. Usually when you hear Ed, it's Ed or Steve, really, you're just right away like, okay, that's who's singing. But it was interesting. Yeah, I agree. There's something a little different about the vocals in the studio version. And certainly in the Bathroom Sessions, it's more distinctly, definitely Ed.
Yeah, there were some pitchiness issues on the album version, which is odd. That I thought there was just some areas where the pitch, there were great moments in there, but especially towards the end of the album version, I was doing this a little bit, like a little bit of a pit, like ooh, and I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if it was intentional or if it was a not really caught kind of thing. But that's not typical of Ed. Whereas in the Bathroom Session, sometimes you just gotta love the guy that's doing the acoustic guitar version of a song that obviously means something to him, and I think he sells it in that one much better. The vocals, I just feel, are tighter on that one.
Yeah. Well, and there's at the very end when he's doing the I can't get this anymore. I don't get this anymore. He's there's a change there. There's a key change there. Where he's like, I'm going to go to this note and reach up a little bit higher and shift it. That shift in the Bathroom Sessions is better than the shift on the album
Agreed.
session.
Yeah, 100% agree.
And I don't know if he's like, you know what, I'm rewriting this, or if he just like naturally felt it. But yeah, it's definitely better in the Bathroom Sessions. And he also does it more naturally in the live session. So there was also a Ships and Dips Cruise songwriters panel where he did this as well. What's really weird about that one though is, well, one, it's kind of a blend between the Stop Us and the Bathroom Sessions. But the interesting thing is it was done by request. He's at the songwriters panel and he's like, all right, this guy here, specifically in the audience, I trust you. I want you to tell me what I'm going to sing. And he's like, I don't get it anymore. He's like, no. But he sings it. The weird thing, though, is that it's 2008. It has not been released yet on this album. So I'm like, how did this guy even know this song exists? How did he hear of this song? Because it hadn't been anywhere yet.
Maybe it wasn't a request. Maybe it was a cry for help. Like the guy literally was yelling out at them, I just don't get it anymore. I don't get any of this. Like, I don't get this cruise. I don't get this music.
He's like, no,
I don't get the food. Yeah, it was just a weird moment, weird irony at that exact moment. But it wasn't a request. But it just worked out that way.
Now, I do want to get to the song, but before we get to the song, I want to talk about this album. Since we really won't be coming back to this album for quite some time, at least not for an original song, I'm going to hit the Trouble with Tracy, but my Trouble with Tracy is going to be about this album.
Oh.
Still no theme music for this yet, is
No, we got to come up with a theme.
And that's the trouble with Tracy. Things aren't always under control.
This was supposed to be a rarities album. And let's look at the songs on this album and if they've been released before at this point, which was in 2012. We have this song, which hadn't been released yet. We have Yes, 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 which was a bonus only on the E2E. So yes, it's a rarity.
Right.
We have next after that is Half a Heart. That's on Blammin'. That's on Bare Naked Ladies Are Men. Like, no, not a rarity. Old Apartment. There, at this point, Old Apartment has 4 other albums it's on. And this might be a demo, but it's still not a rarity at this point. I mean, that's just, it doesn't belong there. Shake Your Rump hadn't been on anything yet. Same thing was on Bopes. This was a live version. It's just a live version. It's not even like a demo or something. Like, what? 1 Week. Why is 1 Week on here? It's a remix and it's
What? Wait, 1 week? I'm not sure if I heard that song before. That must be a rarity.
It's obscure. You really have to dig deep into the BNL discography to find
deep
it.
cut.
Deep cut. Yes.
Teenage Wasteland. It's not the Who song, and it's
Oh,
never
really?
played anywhere
It's
before.
not the Who song?
Not the Who
It's
song.
their own song called Teenage Wasteland.
Yes.
Which is gutsy in itself. Like,
Man,
we're going to do another song.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what if I wrote a song called Smells Like Teen Spirit? That's going to be painting myself into a corner there.
And it's actually, we'll get to it, but it's a really good song.
Okay.
I really enjoy it a lot. And that's probably why they never released it, was because, well, this has the same name as this. Like, there's no way that we should do that. They should just change the name.
That's a T. So it'll be about 4 years. You'll have plenty of time to research.
After that is Long While, unreleased. Second Best, that was already on E2E.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Again, it's a demo. I Can, I Will, I Do. It says that it's an unreleased track, but it's on Blammin'. It's on Bare Naked Ladies Are Men. Why is it on here? And why are they saying it's
That's
unreleased?
2 tracks from Bare Naked Ladies Are Men. Maybe they felt like not enough people heard that album.
Here's something you haven't heard that you've heard before. And then Adrift was once again called an unreleased song, but it's on Blame. It's on Bare Naked Ladies Are Me. Like, guys, these aren't rarities. They were actual released. They could have included She's on Time, Lilac Girl, Back, Stephen Page is Having a Baby, Trouble with Tracy, Trust Me, Moonstone, Long Way Back Home, Powder Blue, Little Green Bag, One Little Slip, Blacking Out, Joseph Brown. All these things they could have been. Night Photographs. That's just me like spitting them off at the top of my head.
Is this your demo reel to replace Andy Rooney on 60 Minutes?
This is the trouble with Tracy.
Folks, I don't get it. Why do they just release these songs? They say they're unreleased. I don't get it anymore.
If you're going to call it a rarities album, if you're going to have a hits album and then follow it up with a rarities album, make it rarities. You have a whole back catalog. You have a ton of B-sides that were never anywhere. So here's what we're going to do. When we get done resequencing our albums down the road, anything that's left over, we're going to resequence the rarities album and decide what goes on to that rarities album as well.
Okay.
Because all of these demos, that could have been on the album before this, which was Hits from Yesterday and the Day Before, which was, title says it all. It was a hits record that was full of demos. Could have been on there instead, and this should have been fully rarities.
So the trouble with Tracy is there was no trouble with Tracy. That's
not for this song.
That's
not so much.
No, but that makes sense. I get that. It's a weird anomalous kind of album to say here you're. I mean, yeah, and I get that. Like you put 1 week on there, you're gonna put a remix, and you're gonna call that a rarity. But I don't know. It's like if you do a B, is it the B-sides album or rarity album? What is it? You do B-sides. Usually you're getting legit B-sides, songs that were not released, that were rare. Not you want to do a remix, you call it a remix album. I'm just basically just forming the box set, aren't I? Disc 1, it's all right. But yeah, I agree. It's a weird compilation.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to call it a rarities album, why are you calling it Stop Us if you've heard this one before? Because that makes no sense. Like, you're already putting it out there like you've heard these.
So people were stopping the disc a lot, basically, if they were listening to the title. Like, oh, heard this one. Heard this one.
Skip.
Heard the skip. Oh, new one.
But this one we have never heard before. This was a true rarity, which is why I was glad that this one was on this album. So let's talk about this song. I Don't Get It Anymore. Aaron, will you give us the breakdown?
Sure, let's break it down.
Break it down.
All right, I Don't Get It Anymore. It was recorded at about 75 beats per minute. It's in the key of E major with some interesting additions. In the verse, it goes from E to B to A, so we have a very basic 1-5-4 progression, all major chords. But the second time it moves through, or every other time, we end on A minor 7. A minor is, of course, not diatonic to E major, and we really don't change keys here, so I'm thinking it's borrowed from the parallel minor scale. And this creates an effect that I really love. A lot of Radiohead songs are either in interesting modes or use borrowed chords. If you want a wonderful example of borrowing a chord from the parallel minor, listen to What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. When it gets to the point where he sings, and I think to myself, that's a borrowed flat 6 from the parallel minor. It gives this sort of questioning, bittersweet sound that I really, really like. The chorus is just back to a basic E to B to A, but that transition to the A minor at the end of the verse makes it seem like more of a change. Also, the fact that the vocals come in on the downbeat helps the chorus feel a little bit more distinct as well. The bridge section comes in with C, moving to G, then B minor, and then E. So now we're likely in the key of G, to which all of these chords are diatonic with the exception of E major. But of course, this is our transition back to E major for the verse. The tricky thing here is that B minor could also be interpreted as the 3rd, 5th, and 7th of a G major 7. But it would be unusual to hear that without the tonic. So I'm going to call this an E minor, as there is no G. So the structure would be the intro is also kind of the chorus, so that's a B. Into the verse, which is our A section, chorus again, B, verse 2, A, chorus B, bridge, C, and then we have a brief instrumental over the A changes. We have A into the verse, A, 3, which is A, into the chorus, except now we have a new accompanying vocal line. Then we go into bridge number 2. I'm going to call this a D section because although it makes use of the same chords, it's handled a little differently. We go from C to B minor to E. The band kind of vamps on these changes until the end. It's a nice little climax to it. I think it's a perfectly solid tune. And we have kind of a B, A, B, A, B, C, A, B, D, or a babab-cabbed format. That's always my favorite part of the breakdown. Ed Robertson is clearly on the lead vocals here. But like I said, the voice has a different quality than I'm used to hearing. And the first few seconds, I almost wondered if it was Kevin singing. There was something ever so subtly different about this song from a lot of stuff I've heard from BNL. Nothing extreme, but it sounded almost like something from a different band. And now it's time for Aaron's Obscure Reference of the Week. Now, I've name-dropped well-known bands like They Might Be Giants and slightly more obscure artists like Wally Pleasant. Tonight, I'm going to talk about a band called Nedlog, and I challenge one of our listeners to have heard this band before because they were a student band. One of my best childhood friends, John, moved away in high school because he started attending Phillips Exeter Academy. This school is, of course, well known for being a very prestigious prep school, but while he was there, he also met some nice people who were in a band called Nedlog, which is golden spelled backwards, but I believe they named themselves after a weird, fruit drink, if I'm not mistaken. They produced, so far as I know of, only one album called The Xiphoid Process, or maybe it's Xiphoid Process. But they were kind of a prog rock, soft rock, jazz fusion, more than a little silly band. They were a student band, but they were very, very good. They had some chops. And John played their disc for me when he was back in Maine for the summer. I really dug their stuff, and later on ended up happening across someone who was in the band. I think it was their bass player, Jesse, who, by the way, now teaches physics at MIT. Go figure. And he ended up sending me the album so I could hear it again, which was super cool of him. Sadly, I cannot currently locate this album, but if I do, I'm now in the mood to give it another listen, likely because of the somewhat floaty feeling of this song and the lovely borrowed minor chord, which kind of reminded me of that album. So that was my obscure reference. If you have heard Nedlog before, please write in. I would love to talk to someone else who's heard this band.
Are they a hip hop group from Stone Mountain?
No, that is apparently there's a rapper now called Nedlog.
I was gonna say that's what I got when I searched.
They're like a jazz fusion,
right,
light rock kind of band.
Okay.
By the way, the xiphoid process, and I've heard that word before, and I was like, wait, I know that word. I looked it up. Mm-hmm. It is the smallest part on the bottom of the sternum.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, it was one of those things where I was like, I know this reference. I know where this. I've heard this.
And now it's time for Tracy's obscure reference of the day. I'm just gonna warn you, listeners. Within the next couple weeks, it's gonna be all segments. That's all the show's gonna be.
Yeah, we're just gonna eventually break it down.
This is Aaron's fault. He did this.
You gotta have. The kids like segments, guys.
The kids do like segments.
Yeah, so we got to break this up into a series of short TikTok videos. That's what we got to do. Really get that youth audience.
you did a great breakdown. Let's go into some other depth that is a little bit more common day, everyman kind of breakdown of the music.
Go for
So
it.
less depth.
So let's start with the beginning of the song. The introduction of the song actually sounds weirdly similar to the song "Take It Outside." I know you haven't heard that before.
I have not.
Aaron. I'm going to put in 8 bars of that song right here. And then I'm going to put in the first 8 bars of "I Don't Get It Anymore" right here. Listening to them back to back, they are weirdly similar. Like, Ed is obviously borrowing from his other song here, unintentionally, I'm sure. But I immediately heard it, and I'm like, I know that I've heard this song. It changed away really quickly, but it's there.
Yeah. There was something else that reminded me of, but I still can't place it. Like, I know I've heard this melody before. The first melody line that he sings, the first couple lines, actually. I know I've heard this before, but it sounds, and not just Take It Outside, but it sounds like a few things.
Yeah, I wasn't
I
able
can't
to
place it.
grab which songs it was similar to musically. Other than that, I don't have the ear to be able to pull that.
Well, it's
off
a pretty-
normally, unless it's really close.
It's a pretty common chord progression. It's a pretty standard kind of rock ballad kind of template, I guess I would call it. So it doesn't surprise me that we'd see some crossover with other songs, which may be why they decided to kind of keep it for the B-side collection. Nothing wrong with it. I just
No, they're probably like, oh yeah, this does kind of sound similar to this other song that we have on the same album right now. Like, maybe we shouldn't do that. The other thing is they're doing some really cool stuff with the channels. I know you hadn't mentioned that, Aaron, but specifically, you have the reverse guitar in the left ear, and then you have Kevin in the right ear, and somewhere starting around the second verse, you have them doing this sort of call and answer kind of thing.
I like
in
that. Yeah.
the 2 different ears, and it's really cool. I'll put a brief snippet of that in right here.
Yeah, like towards the end there on the last chorus. When
Yeah.
they have the last chorus, there's that little,
Yeah, and I kind of like that. Like, I like it when it's not dueling banjos, but they're blending in a little bit, but they are kind of responding to each other in a lot of ways. And I'd never picked up until I was listening to it with earphones that, oh, wait, that's coming in over here, and then that's over here. Wow, that's kind of cool. And I like how they do that.
Yeah, me too. I like. There's a lot of little things that I like about this song.
I'm going to put this into the music section. It's not really lyrics, so I think it's a musicality aspect. The ethereal ahs during the bridge are just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really, it lifts that bridge section up.
Ran into a friend of mine.
A lot of the backing stuff on this I really like. The bridge, like I mentioned, the end. I like the back and forth with Kevin's vocals, pretty much. But yeah, so a lot of the backing, the harmonies on the chorus, the first 2 choruses. Yeah, but I agree. Like, a lot of the backing stuff in this is pretty cool, and the echoey stuff at the end there.
Yeah, where Steven's kind of going, like, you got, I don't get it anymore, and Steven says anymore. Like,
Right,
I like that
yes,
echo.
Yes.
Yeah.
It really works well there for some reason. I don't know what it is. I can't say oh yeah, I'll break, like, here's why. But no, I like it here.
It kind of softens the blow from one of the parts I really don't like at the end. But
What do you tell?
oh, I love you, Ed.
Please
Come
don't
on the
tell me
show.
it's the outro.
Yeah.
Come on the show.
The outro is the best part.
The outro is the best. Oh, no, don't get me wrong.
I do want to highlight that real quick.
It's him
the
saying,
oohs and the
go
ahs.
ahead, yeah.
I realized today with the oohs and the ahs that, so you have, as Ed sing his outro of the lyric, I get aroused whenever you're around. I was once lost in the lost and found. In the background, you have these ahs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, the ahs are singing the same notes the same, I don't know if it's a key change and that's what makes it different, but they're singing the same basic pattern that you later get with the oohs after his voice trails out. But because you've gone from an ah to an ooh, and I don't know, Aaron, you could probably break down like what notes he's actually hitting there or what chord they're actually on there. It sounds different. It goes from this ethereal kind of sound to this discordant sound that almost gives you this kind of like, ooh, kind of feeling. Like it makes you feel a little bit different. And I like how they're doing that.
I'd have to listen to it again. Let's see. Maybe I can.
While you're doing that, so one of the things that kind of came to my mind was with that end part, I kept thinking like Crash Test Dummies, like at the very end where they do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, I think Kevin is doing some amazing, brilliant filler notes.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
song.
Yeah, I really like what Kevin does in this. A lot. I love what Steve does with the backing and the harmony. I love Ed's vocals most of the time.
We're gonna come back to that in a minute.
I know.
I want to hear Aaron's little fill in about those notes, and
yeah.
then I'm like, can I totally bang in on what you were saying? Because I feel horrible that I actually stepped on your words.
That's all right. No, it's all right. I'm a big boy. Although I do have to say, if Aaron's gonna sneeze like that, can we move these blocks a little farther apart? These Zoom blocks.
Yeah, we gotta stay safely socially distanced.
We're really not social distance here.
Move you there and move you there.
So I'm not hearing anything I would describe as discordant, but there are some very close harmonies, and there's moving parts where they're shifting a semitone or a half step. So depending on your perception of what chord they're in, it's possible that your brain is expecting to hear one note and it hears one, like they move it down a half step. So I'm hearing a shift in the chord voicing, but if you're like holding on to that one chord and then you hear that one note go down, it might sound like it's suddenly dissonant or not in the same chord.
It's actually really cool.
It kind of goes from like this ethereal sound to this almost ghostly type sound.
Mm-hmm. That's a really cool explanation, though. The way you put that, though, how you interpret where the sound's going to go, because I love
so much of that's in your head.
Yeah,
yeah.
I love how subjective music is, and what you hear in a song, I might not hear in a song, and based on a lot of things. And like, yeah, you're right. Like, I think this song is going to go here, and someone else might go, that was exactly where I thought it was going to go.
Music is all happening in your brain. Your ears hear it, but it's being
really cool.
constructed and interpreted by your brain. So.
Speaking of the brain, Jeff, you had a thought on your brain about the end of the song that I interrupted you on.
Nice segue.
That was gorgeous. One of the things that really, really bothered me about this song is at the end. Like I said, I really was into Ed's vocals at the beginning. That was one thing I liked, and the music and everything. Those founds at the end. Great, though. I don't know what it is. The last, I get aroused whenever you're around. I once was lost in her, lost and found.
I get aroused whenever you're around. I once was lost in the lost and found.
How he's hitting those founds, even just the whole line itself, but there's just something about that vocal. It's like it's not sitting where maybe this is the whole in your head sound thing. Maybe for someone it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. There's just something about that line that feels like it's not sitting where it's supposed to the whole time. And then when he gets to that very last high found, it hits something in on a cerebral level for me that doesn't make me think Ed, at all. As much as I love what he does, so that's one thing. And I'm glad it goes back into what you call the ethereal vocals, the backgrounds and everything. Some of the stuff, and then of course, like I said, that outro is glorious. I love the outro, and it kind of redeems it for me when it gets back in. I'm like, oh, good. like the bandage. It's like the wound has been bandaged at that point. But yeah, that's one thing. I tried. I went back and I listened to the last part after the chorus several times, trying to like it, and it was just something I don't about it.
Yeah. That's a cool idea. That's a cool.
What is that?
That's a cool take.
What-
Yeah, I don't know. I keep getting beeps. I'm not sure what that is.
Sounds like someone's phone vibrating.
It's Ed calling in already.
He's like, hey,
It's
guys.
weird because
Hey guys, I want to be on the show.
nope, not this one. So let's talk about the song lyrics. From a first glance, this seems to be a song about self-improvement, about recovering from anxiety, but that also doesn't make sense with the bridge or the last verse. Or
I thought
the
it was a
outro.
dude. I thought it was about a dude who wasn't getting laid anymore.
From the title, that's where you're gonna go. All right, we can move on to ratings then.
All right.
Got that?
No, is that
Quality
really
content
what,
that
like,
people tune in for.
Was that really your take on the song? Was that really what you
No,
like,
obviously
going
not.
into it? Maybe.
No, I mean, I was wondering what it was because I don't get it anymore. It could be taken many ways. I mean, obviously, I'm being facetious there, but I mean, if it was a Page song, maybe. You know, like,
Wait till we get to "She's on Time," sir.
yeah, I mean, when I hear the interesting thing is, I don't get it anymore. It's kind of strange phrasing, right? Because like, did I lose you guys? You're both frozen on my feed. My internet's been. Oh, hello. Can you see me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I lost you there for a second. So yeah,
You once were lost.
now I'm found. I wasn't the lost and found. But no, I don't get it anymore as strange phrasing, right? Because normally I would think I don't get it. It's like I don't understand. But I don't get it anymore. That's not something you hear quite as often. You know, like maybe, so I don't understand anymore. I don't, it just seemed a little strange. So I went into it not quite sure, and I came out of it not quite sure, I guess, to be honest. But I mean, mostly, yeah, from the verses, it seems like someone who maybe, I don't know, because the last verse kind of seems like it's a resolution of a longing for something, and the feel of the song is definitely like one of longing and questing, which is why I was talking about there with that kind of borrowed minor chord. I think that helps programmatically kind of set the tone for that. I mean, I would say it's ballad-esque for the feel of the song. So yeah, I don't quite know. This is one of those ones where the lyrics are not quite on the nose enough where it's not like super obvious. It's more of one of those, and I think this is something we've discussed before with Ed. Sometimes he likes to do more of like a word painting than a prosaic story.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
I'm kind of in the same vein here. I mean, I definitely this is again a weird one, and I just don't get it anymore at all.
Golf club.
It feels like a song about self-doubt. It comes up a lot. That first verse is weird for me in several levels too. But I used to be afraid, doubted each decision I made. Whenever I went out, I had a feeling I was talked about. Paranoia, self-doubt, loathing. The bridge seems to reference he's having a conversation with someone about an old flame, an old girlfriend, or old partner. Wasn't how the stars aligned. I once was lost. She told me where to go, which is probably one of the few lines in this song I like, if I'm honest. I do like I once was lost. She told me where to go. And a great last line of a bridge, too.
Yeah.
So what do you think that means?
I mean, if anything, he keeps saying he wasn't confident. He keeps losing things because of his lack of confidence. I feel like maybe that was part of the problem with the relationship, is that he didn't have the confidence. He wasn't sure of himself. Hard to be in a relationship if you're not, taking care of yourself, if you're insured in yourself, my opinion, I guess. But, maybe the relationship was lost because I used to get upset. I'd lose it every chance I get until you called my bluff, which I don't even know who that last verse is directed to. Was it directed to the referencing the relationship he's mentioning in the bridge, or is it whoever he's talking to now? Like Aaron said, was this now the moment of... has it improved? Is this... He's finally realizing this is all the problems I've had before. I had a lack of confidence. You called me out on it. Things are good now. But then back to the same chorus again. I don't get it anymore. This one's a tough one.
Maybe he doesn't.
So Aaron knows I like to ask questions I know the answer to. I love Socratic questioning. Honestly, though, I came into tonight with an honest question of like, I don't get this. Can you explain it to me? I had an epiphany today listening to it for about the 15th time, though, and listening to it 5 more times afterwards to see if maybe, in fact, it actually does match up. Because I was like, oh, no, it's gonna be totally wrong, and it's gonna be another like, nope, I couldn't make sense of this
So
song.
you're thinking like the chorus somehow references in a way that we're not seeing.
Yes.
Okay.
So here's what I came up with, because at first I thought it was just a song about self-betterment, because we have every chorus or every verse is about self-betterment, which goes back to I don't get it anymore. I don't have this feeling of anxiety anymore, is kind of what I felt like he was saying. My epiphany was like, I took that because that last verse wasn't making any sense. So I'm like, I'm going to take this last verse because he's trying to say something here with this verse. It's obviously important. He wouldn't have thrown it in otherwise. What's he saying? And I almost think he's saying that love has made him a better person. Because with the third verse, he's saying that she's called his bluff and has made him realize that he needs to work harder at being a better person. He has often just kind of gone to his baser instincts and blown up and been emotional and been reactive. And I realized that last line was written in a way that sounds really negative toward the partner, where he says, I had a feeling I wasn't good enough. After saying, until you called my bluffs, I realized I wasn't good enough, which makes her sound kind of negative, like you're changing me for the wrong way and you're making me think I'm not good enough for you. But what he's really doing is setting that line up for the next line, which is the chorus of where I don't get it anymore. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel better now. I used to feel like I wasn't good enough, but I don't. Meaning that he's become a better person because of this person that he loves. That still didn't quite work with me for the bridge, though. But I almost think that maybe the bridge is similar to A.
You're making a believer out of me though, because I can kind of see it being like it sounds to me like he had this relationship, he had all this self-doubt, and it didn't work because of that reason. He's now in this new relationship, like you said, love made him a better person. She called his bluff. You're not that person. Shape up, kind of thing. He's like, I don't get it anymore. And it almost like he gave us the description of the previous girl or the previous partner or whoever this might be directed to. The last verse, I think, is the comparison between the two. Now that you said that, because I'm looking at it now, I get aroused whenever you're around. I was lost in her and found. Yes. Right. Now I'm aroused. I'm awakened. I'm, this is who I am. I was lost in her. Now I'm found. So I feel like that makes that last part make a little more sense, what you said, which is, it's like he's been pulled out of it. It's making the comparison there.
And I almost feel like he's doing a bridge with the bridge for the song A. We have, I met a woman I used to know long before you, long ago. All I could say after hello was, are you still single?
Yeah.
Where he's like, yeah, I got caught hitting on this ex.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's hitting on this person because he calls her a friend.
Right.
But I think he's trying to say like, no, I met up with this person and I was lost. I was kind of lost in where I should be with my relationship. And she told me where to go. She told me that we are good together. Like, I shouldn't be so stupid. Like, she told me this is us. And then it gets back to the comparison of like how she's made him better.
Which you think the last line of the bridge is a positive line?
Yeah. She told me where to go, as in like go back to this other person. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're happy there.
Oh, see, I took the last verse, so I feel like the last verse of the bridge is a diss. Like I was lost, and she told me where to go. Like she told me.
Oh wow! I didn't even think
that's
of it
that's how I interpreted it. I interpreted like, yeah, he's flashing back, and I was lost, I was confused, and she told me basically hit the road. Wow. That's how. Maybe I'm a cynic. Maybe I figured Steve wrote the bridge.
that could definitely be.
Now, with all the rest of this, the only thing that doesn't fit in is that outro. I love the line, I was once lost and found, but I have no idea what it means within that context.
Well, I think it's lost in her, lost and found.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
right.
so it's online. It says her, but if you listen to what he's singing, he says the. So all the lyrics online say her, but he never says.
Where is the punctuation on that line, though? Wait, where's the punctuation on this line? Because there's not any on the lyrics.
I was
sheet. It
lost
goes,
in her, comma, lost and found.
Lost and found, or I was lost in her, lost and found. I was lost in her, lost and found, or I was lost in her, lost and found. Now I was lost, now I'm found.
Well, I want to go.
Where's the comma on that?
that could definitely change the reading of that line. I want to go back to something that you said, though, Jeff, because you were talking about paranoia. Maybe I don't get it anymore is that feeling of paranoia or that feeling of
that makes sense.
Uncertainty or insecurity.
Right. I don't get that feeling anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, which is what a lot of the song is. Like we have him having a fear of heights and fear of jumping out of the plane, a fear of jumping into relationships. Maybe is the metaphor there.
Fear of falling for the first time, if you will.
Ooh, callbacks with Jeff. New segment.
I don't know. I really like the verses in this song. Like I really feel for the verses in this song.
It's that minor. It's the really borrowed minor chord, man. I'm telling you, it's got a magical quality to it. I love it.
Well, and the words, like they really attach to me. They really mean something to me. Especially that second verse. I used to be afraid, doubted every decision that I made. As a person with social anxiety, yeah, like I have that feeling that I'm always being talked about. I'm always a little bit paranoid.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Am I saying the wrong thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? Am I, always self-doubt? And so that really hit me.
This is something I've noticed with Ed is that he's got this weird paradoxical quality where his lyrics will be not specific enough or autobiographical enough or explicitly enough that you can tell exactly one event or thing that he's singing about. But at the same time, there's this emotional honesty and vulnerability to what he's writing that seems very very true, and it seems very very forthcoming and confessional. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting.
And I feel like we've mentioned that before with Ed, like just the way he can be pretty vague about his lyrics to where you have to kind of squint to see them.
It's like a magic eye for the ears.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's a magic ear song.
A magic eye ear. I don't know what that is.
A magic Eeyore.
Magic Eeyore. Nobody interprets Eeyore.
Eeyore, we love you. Please come on the show. I'll talk about Radiohead with you, and we can be depressed together.
Hey, Eeyore, pitch yourself. Where can we find your stuff? Well, if you look on YouTube.
Not that it matters. Nobody watches me anyway. I got demonetized.
Nobody subscribes to Eeyore.
Love it.
Speaking of ERs, we're going to go with the opposite of an ER, and we are missing someone tonight who is Stefan. He did join me last night, and he gave me his thoughts, so I'm going to ask Stefan, tell me more about what you think about this song.
I listened to it a few times. I thought I understood it. Now I just don't get it. But it's very simple, He ties I don't get it into a number of different scenarios, and it blends in. I thought it was an average song, but I mean, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, you guys got to hear this. It didn't do that for me. So, but I did enjoy it. I liked it. It was simple. Would I put it on my playlist? No. If it was on the CD that happened to be one of the songs, then yeah. But I liked it. So it's a kind of the run-of-the-mill BNL song, I think.
What were some of the things you kind of liked about it?
Well, I like the simplicity of all their songs and how it relates to real life. He's sitting on a plane, he's looking down, and he's just amazed by things, and he just doesn't get it anymore. So, I mean, those are some of the things that I like about their songs, and this song in particular. And then he includes it into something a little bit more personal and more relational as well. And I really like that. They always turn something around. They always have, 3 or 4 different kind of sets, I guess. I don't know, lacking, musical terms here. But in which they have a reference to I don't get it anymore, or whatever the name of the song is, or whatever the point is going to be. they always tie it into 3 or 4 different things, or more, or whatever. And usually it changes, but it's kind of progression from something simple to something a little bit more meaningful. And that's one of the things I really like about all of their songs. This song is no different.
Excellent. So 0 to 5, what do you give this song?
I would give it a 3, Alex.
Whoa, what a rating!
So speaking of ratings, that Stefan just gave us his rating. Jeff, I'm going to hand it over to you for the ratings section.
Oh, we're totally doing How Many Magic Eeyores, that's for sure.
I would hope so.
I've jotted down at some point. Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 5 Magic Eeyores, you put that in the spreadsheet. Yeah.
Oh, I am. It's going in right now.
So I Don't Get It Anymore by the Bare Naked Ladies. This one was a tough one for me, and this might be more of my haterade song. What the fuck? Just by the way, we've talked about this. There are things I like about this song. We talked about, when the guitar first started, Ed first started, I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to love this song. This is going to be awesome. Because I love a lot of Ed's songs. Like When I Fall is one of my favorites. But some of Ed's stuff is just so, so good. Especially when he's in the bathroom session singing it. And his vocals, his guitar, amazing work. So I was sold on this one going in. Hit the chorus, the outro really strong, and dancing around this one. Outro really strong. I love that. When all the parts come together, a lot of the backing vocals, Steve's harmonies on this, even Kevin's backing, the ethereal stuff. There's some moodiness in here that I really, really, really enjoy for the type of song. I like it a little more now that we kind of analyzed it, which I often do.
I hate it now, hate it and then.
What I don't like about this song, that found at the end, the last 2 lines of vocals from Ed, I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it was meant to be or it's just not my style, but like I said, that hurts. What hurts more on this one is the lyrics for me. I really don't like the lyrics of this song. Compared to, when you look at BNL, one of the things that I love about BNL is just the solid lyrics, the puns, the bitingness, the emotional stuff that you get, the jokes, the twist of word phrases that carry through several lines with the rhyme scheme. Rhyme schemes that nobody would think of in really weird formats. A, B, C, B's, that they'll do some really crazy stuff. This one gives us, it's a long way down from the airplane cabin to the ground, then my heart would pound. I hate that line. As the earth spun round and round and round. To me, this sounds like the song that you write when you're not quite sure how to fill the syllables. That's how I feel with that first verse. It's like, my heart would pound as the earth spun round and round. We talked about the meaning behind this, and if it's about like a feeling of, insecurities or paranoia, really legit things that, social anxiety, things that, I know I deal with myself, can be a really strong song. I don't think it sells here. I don't think as opposed to some of the other things they did. And then, of course, we get a double chorus. We get to round that out, we get an I don't get it anymore, I don't get it anymore. Not always a problem to just have a chorus that's one line and repeats. I mean, it happens a lot in true greatness, but not so much here. And I don't ever feel the lyrics come out of it. I think they're really plain for me. They just don't have that poignancy that I would love from an Ed song. Like I said, I do like the bridge, and I really like that last line. There again, because I thought the last line was a smash. I thought it was a slam line. I was once lost, she told me where to go. I actually kind of chuckled at that one. I'm like, there's a B&L line. Yeah. And then the closer back to the third verse, I used to get upset. I'd lose every chance I get until you call my bluff. I had a feeling it wasn't good enough. Like I said, they're not the strong lyrics I would normally expect. That could just be me. I think the intro set me up for something a little stronger. That said, overall, there's enough saving graces in this. I'm not going to go too hard on it, but definitely can't rank this anywhere near a lot of my favorite BNL songs. Ed, don't listen to this episode, because I love you, man. Seriously. But I got to give this one a 2.6 Magic Eeyores. It's a little above average.
All right.
And the world is shocked. Wow, that is a low ranking for Jeff.
All right, who are you handing it to there, sir?
All right, we're going to hand this off to... Let's hand it off to Aaron.
Okay. I think I liked it more than you did, Jeff. I don't love it. So if loving, I mean, obviously a 5 would be, I absolutely adore it. I think it's one of the best. It's definitely not a 5. A 4 would be, I like it to love it. I really, really like it a lot. It's not quite there for me. I think the thing is, it's a very, very simple song, and it could easily have been a 2.567 up to a 3 for me if it hadn't been for the little subtle, interesting kind of tweaks they put on it. If it would just be like a 154 ballad, I think that would have been a fairly boring song. But the fact that they had that borrowed minor chord in the verse, the really, really interesting kind of counterpointal kind of vocal part in the last chorus, and then the really, really nice outro, I think elevate it quite a bit for me. And I'm going to award I Don't Get It Anymore 3.5 Magic Eeyores out of 5.
All right.
I'm going to send it off to Tracy.
All right.
Right.
Shocker.
I didn't know if I had a job there. I was.
Oh, wait. Do we...
I can identify a lot with this song, and as a person that struggles with anxiety, especially social anxiety, as you were talking, Jeff, you made a really good point that it's a very simple chorus. And I do. I like a chorus that's a little bit more complex. That being said, there are choruses, Brian Wilson, for example, that are very simplistic, that obviously are right up there and amazing. I don't think that this is an amazing chorus. I think I really do like this song, though. And the more that we talked about it tonight and finally kind of getting the understanding of what this song was about really helped me to kind of feel better about this song. At the same time, I don't know why this song wasn't on an album, at least as one of the slower songs. I think it belongs on there. There were 3 albums that came out after this was written, and I banged my head trying to figure out why it wasn't on any of those 3 albums. E2E and Either of the Blames, like, it could have been on there. As a matter of fact, there's songs I would have taken off of Blame or Blamin' and put this on instead. I am glad that we got it through the Rarities album, though. Thank goodness they actually put a real rarity on the Rarities album. Because I do like this song. I wouldn't say it's amazing, it's fantastic, I have to listen to it. But it definitely went onto my iPad for me to listen to. So I give this song a 3.9.
Okay. So I'm the one that drank the haterade today. All right,
That was my job last week.
It was your job last week, so I don't feel... All right, Tracy, and what is the appearance of the week?
There are some Canadian celebrities of various media, and they're podcasters now, but they've done a lot of things over the years. They're actually really well known in Canada, and they're releasing their first record. And their names are Taggart and Torrens. And the reason that I'm bringing it up today is this album is out there. It is available to buy. You can get it on iTunes. I checked it out last night. I like it. And Ed appears in their newest video. The newest video is called You Sellin', I'm Byron. It's very much along the lines of a band that I used to listen to, which is Diupers, where it's almost it's comedy, but it's almost
Diupers.
Very Canadian in their humor. If you liked Red Green, you're gonna like this album. Like, it's very Canadian humor, and it's wonderful. So I recommend going out and listening to it. But I'm gonna put the video up that has Ed in there this week. Of course, he's talking about all these things that people are selling online and that these guys are buying. And the thing that Ed's selling is a crokinole board. Now, if you're like me, you're probably like, what the hell is crokinole? It is a Canadian game that's similar to shuffleboard, where you flick discs across the board trying to score by attaining the central region, and you can only keep the pieces on the board if it hit another person's disc in that play. Like, it sounds really complicated. It makes me thinking of curling, but on a smaller version. So of course it would be Canadian. Sorry, Canadians, but curling is your national sport, so give it. So yeah, I recommend going out. Actually, I now want to go out and buy a crokinole board because it sounds really fun. So Ed, I will buy your crokinole board. I'm Byron. Well, guys, After those really bad puns, it's the end of the show. That means I gotta say goodbye. I don't like it. I hate goodbyes. But the good news is that we will be coming back next week to discuss the song I Don't Like.
All right.
So.
Okay.
You win.
Yeah, that was a weaker toss.
I was expecting, a deeper rabbit hole on that one. You set me up for...
What?
You undersold the rabbit hole.
Aaron, don't you like my throw to next week?
I gotta say, I don't like it.
You don't like
No,
he
sir.
Don't like.
I don't like it.
You don't like it.
Well, we'll come back next week and talk about what Ed and Steve doesn't like. Join us next week as we talk about I Don't Like. And thanks. That was fun.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
Perfect. Wait until we go to the next concert. I'll definitely throw you under the bus.
Not literally. Please, not literally.
Oh, you're saying metaphorically.
Unless you want to throw me under it so the bus has to stop and then they have to take me to the hospital. Like, I'm okay with that.
Or so you can grab a hold and just go on tour with them.
That's right.
Latch on
One!
like Luke under a gnat hat.
I think I'd be dragging the ground a little bit more, though.
You and me both, because I'll be probably hanging onto your ankles. Casey! Where you going, buddy?
And every now and then I still stick my foot in my mouth, but not as often.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, if you get their attention and they respond to you, that's good.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised because I hate the sound of my voice, but people are like, no, I listen in every week to hear what you're going to say. I'm like, really?
You're good. You're good on this.
Thank
you might have found your calling.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
As long as nobody gets to look at you, I think you're fine.
Why is his head taking up the entire screen? What the hell?
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredders Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.